So, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or Twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff we're focused on here today. A lot of stuff going on right at the start of the week. Always seems to be a pretty busy time, I do have to say, because you think that the weekend would be a nice sleepy time, not much going on, people relaxing, and nope, that just never seems to be how it works lately anyway. With a whole lot to get into, including just ever so slightly in the news lately, an extension and change in the potential compensation, I guess I should say, for El Paso's city manager. We had been talking about that 2024 date. Well, now looking at the strong potential for 2029 and an increase of up to $450,000 a year in base compensation and salary. So that one, probably a lot of opinions out there. I would fully have to assume, though my understanding that it is still, as of this moment, still going on as part of, well, no, actually, from our news partners over at KFox 14, that has happened, but also some fire watch going on even in our area, even as there are still a lot of evacuations happening further north in the land of enchantment, the state of New Mexico, still very much dealing with them, but as they creep closer to our area, Anthony's Gap specifically, seeing about 30 acres burned, definitely leaving questions for how this is going to look for this already pretty warm time before we're even already in summer here. So that's part of the questions here. Plus, at least one thing going on at a city council, also involving local response to the latest surge of migrants, what we know so far, and what our news partners over at KFox 14 doing there. John Hertz asking I think a sentiment, if not exact wording, a lot of people would be asking here, what the hell has the city manager done? And so we'll get into that here in just a second. This is why we have the social media up here, I got to admit, because having those comments come in from all those ways, Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, and Twitter, Twitch, all of that is, it's one of the better ways you can chime in throughout the show here. So that's a question that I think a decent amount of people are asking of, okay, is it worthwhile to this? What exactly is it seen? Because honestly, I just gotta say that it feels like the whole city manager side of things, like, yes, the elected officials, city council itself, and the mayor, those just ever so slightly important individuals, very much in the public spotlight, very much able to be seen and heard, even if y'all have expressed some concerns about their accessibility at certain points here, which are more than justified in, given that responsiveness is one of the ways I judge elected officials anyway. But given that the whole city manager side of things being, by definition, not necessarily using this as a derogatory term, but by definition as a bureaucratic system here, it is the bureaucracy that then fuels all the decisions being made. And yes, there are forms and filings and important things to be done to make sure things are done correctly. I mean, in the scale between fly by night, do as need be, figure it out when we get there, cross that bridge when we come to it kind of reasoning that can happen with local government, I'll probably appreciate a little bit more formalization than just, we'll do it this way. And John Hurst putting it another way I can't repeat on the radio, calling it not organized. I'm going to mildly paraphrase. Again, if you want to see these comments for yourselves, you can go over to our social media, primarily Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, where a lot of these come in. So he's disagreeing with the organization aspect of it here, which I suppose I can understand why you might have issues with it. John Browsland chiming in that when he leaves in 2029, he'll get a $2 million buyout. Potentially, well, okay, we're still probably in that million range, depending on, again, you're not going to get a clear answer on it, even if we were to submit FOIA on it, Freedom of Information Act request, because this would be very easily called a personnel issue on how much actual days he has accrued, but it's entirely within the realm of possibility that the city manager, Tommy Gonzalez, has probably close to the maximum. It's possible, if not totally confirmable from this standpoint, though. Once the any leaving is confirmed and the payout comes, we would certainly need to know at that point, because that would then not just be a compensation issue, but what has come out of the public coffers. And so it's well beyond HR point at that point. But until then, I'd be surprised if we get a totally straight answer on it. So sure, there's the possibility for it to increase, but I don't know if if it gets to that $2 million range, Well, I'm sure a lot more people will be expressing their opinions on it, but what has specifically been said by City Council, having voted on it in a special meeting here on Monday, that they have approved to extend Gonzalez's contract until June 24th, 2029. Again, according to our news partners over at KFOX 14, they also approve that his base pay should not increase above $450,000 per year unless the base salary of the three highest comparison cities under the agreement is about $450,000, in which case the manager's base salary will be increased to the lesser of one of those. It's actually a pretty complicated formula here. So, well, again, if you want to see the full breakdown of it here, go to KFOX TV.com to see there. Ted corresponding on that, yeah, it is all out of the public coffers, but once it's a kind of like final contract, of course, they can't call it under the veil of HR anymore. We deserve to know at that point because it is a public expenditure. John Hertz wanting to me to use amending the phrase that it's a monkey poop fight is more organized than El Paso here. A little bit more radio friendly. I'll give you that here. So yeah, a lot of comments and commentary coming in on that already. And so I guess I'm mildly surprised that given this and the potential for him to leave, though then again, I guess I'm not that surprised that City Council has offered to do this. And I'm honestly not going to be that mad at the individual of Tommy Gonzalez himself here. He's found himself in a pretty sweet position and has managed to, I'm going to, reading between the lines, got no one telling me this on the record offer anyway, this is just my reading of the situation, kind of playing both sides against the middle, or the middle against both ends, however you put it here. He's found himself in a good position, and with this possibility of him departing for that city of Frisco in the Dallas Fort Worth suburbs, saying that, hey, if you want me to stick around, let's renegotiate here. So those are just some of the top line items. To my understanding, City Council still going on right now, one of those marathon meetings, it sounds like, including some things that'll be coming up a little bit later. News partners over at KFOX 14 that they're going to be, the city of El Paso, releasing a response to the latest surge of migrants. So they'll have more updates there on coming up at KFOX 14 News at 9. So a lot of stuff coming out of City Council, and I'm sure a lot more people wanting to get in and chime in on this. So we'll have to take the first break of the hour here right now. Coming back out of this, we'll talk more about, well, some of these situations that we are dealing with here, including those local CBP issues, including that shooting at the El Paso port of entry, and again, that potential response, even as there are more local issues going on. Land of enchantment continuing to be ever just so crispy lately with those fires near the Anthony Gap, bringing it a little bit closer to home than it had recently been thought of. So all that and more coming up out of this break here with more Talk El Paso. You're on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. If you want to chime in during the show, of course, we have those social media channels up there where we got Ted Cords, John Hertz, John Browston, and more tuning in and chiming in. Also dropping those likes and reacts. Monica Cervantes, Flaco Jimenez, and Robbie Flores. Do appreciate it. But we got to take that break right now. Coming out of this break, all those topics and more. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
A three-car crash on the Border Highway is causing a big backup this afternoon. Border Highway eastbound before Midway. Three-vehicle accident blocking the two center lanes and essentially taking out the freeway for a while. We got a 40-minute delay, Border Highway eastbound from Midway back to Fonseca. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Zaragoza. A stalled semi's blocking the right lane. Harry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Brake Masters.
Quit staring at your phone. Just leave it alone and get the Brake Masters. Get your tires aligned, then get out there and see what you can find. Get your vehicle in Brake Masters shape today. Download coupons and schedule an appointment from your smartphone.
Brake Masters.
We give you an honest break.
Hey El Paso, Ivan Ochoa here, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Once again, we were El Paso's #1 dealer in Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram sales in April. Thank you El Paso and surrounding areas.
The Memorial Day sales event starts now at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. And there's never been a better time to get more for your old car, truck, or SUV. Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, we want it. So you can save big on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks with 0 APR for 60 months. All new 2022 Jeep Wagoneer full-size SUV with third-row seating. 0 APR for 60 months. 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we have aggressive lenders with great rates and terms, even if your credit is less than perfect. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso. El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR, 1667 per per thousand financed on select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Wondering if the COVID vaccine is right for your child? If you can trust it? Want to know what a healthcare professional would say? I'm Dr. Gerald Harmon. I'm the president of the American Medical Association. So we want you to know it's important for all children 5 and older to get a COVID vaccine because we know millions of cases of COVID have been in kids. You can trust the COVID vaccine for yourself and for your kids. I do.
We can do this. Find a vaccine near you at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Here's a message just for the attorneys out there. So you passed the bar, joined a firm, or even built your own. Now are you finding out that you're doing more administration than actual law practice? Lexicon can help. Lexicon is a legal technology provider with over a decade of experience streamlining administrative tasks like timekeeping, billing, and more, so you can focus on maximizing billable hours and increasing client satisfaction. Call 855-4-LEXICON or visit lexiconservices.com/go to learn more.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone?
Do flowers have best friends?
I don't know. Hey, look.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to chime in on the show if you're wanting to do so. We'll have that phone line open a little bit later in the program, as we do, as well as a lot of comments coming in over on the social media. Again, Ted Kors in the last segment saying it's all out of the public coffers when it comes to the city manager's contract. No doubt there. No, you're not going to find any argument from me. And John Brazelton saying that when it's all over, everyone will find out he wouldn't have been selected for the Frisco city manager job. Just got himself a nice raise for the next couple of years. Well, the next better part of the decade through 2029, the possibility. So, again, I'm not going to really put any fault on that individual here, Tommy Gonzalez, the city manager we're talking about, but very much going to be considering that for, well, the elected officials who end up making these decisions, because that's ultimately who this comes down on. And I think, as much as there are people wondering about, things were brought up about the ability for there to be term limits for city managers, that kind of a thing here. I mean, it's still not an elected position until it's created as one. Can you imagine I can't imagine that ever actually going to an election. It would be such a kerfuffle every time that it would just be untenable, because you're going to be hard pressed to find a public official with higher compensation in the area, which would always attract some interesting individuals, and thus the amount of prowess. Okay, so I have previously said when we were talking about the compensation of city council members that, okay, think about the knowledge, experience, skills that you want to have for that job. Just consider the list in your mind of what you would want them to have, and then look at the compensation and see if it's commensurate with that. Now, again, very big differences between the city and the county on this because of one simple fact that the city has all pay increases go to the ballot, so the voters have final say on it, whereas in the county, it is not within that charter of government, so they don't have to do that, which is why, sure, there are some formulas they point at, other big cities in Texas kind of thing in the previous discussions I've been able to sit in on and see how they progress and have reported on. So, sure, it has, a level of understanding, but also, people are certainly entitled to their gripes about it. But with the city manager, there is no such thing except for what city council approves. So I would fully, and I do mean fully, expect that any displeasure over this whole situation will probably be registered a little bit in the ballot box coming up, because remember, we do have half of city council going up for election in November. So just kind of keep that in mind, just slot it in the back there. I know that in some previous elections, people would not totally literally, but essentially write letters to themselves to be delivered in the days before the impending election to remind them of exactly how they felt and how they might need to be reminded of those emotions as things fall by the wayside. So maybe find a similar way. I know there are websites out there that do that kind of a thing to, again, essentially send a letter to yourself in the future kind of thing. So if this is really cheesing your toast right now, maybe consider that for the future here. But talking about other literal fires, of course, we have had more than a little bit of an active season going on already within the whole Southwest region. we had that New Mexico fire going on in Ruidoso, that one largely having fallen off now. We did have one come a little bit closer to home here with, again, few dozen acres, it does seem like, out there in Anthony's Gap catching fire over the weekend. Our news partners over at KFOX 14, quoting an official at the Bureau of Land Management, saying that this fire is in a remote area with limited impact on resources or values at risk, with about less than 30 acres burned there. So looking at what may have caused that here, if anyone out there doing some dubious activities, stop it. We're dry enough as it is, and hope you didn't actually cause any damage. Though, of course, there's been this one that has been in the back of my mind, happening further up in New Mexico, because actually I have some friends up in the area that are getting affected by these massive wildfires, kind of central northern New Mexico, north of Santa Fe for the most part here, or a little bit east of it. Technically, the Hermit's Peak and Calf Canyon fires, estimated to be impacting by New Mexico Fire Info just shy of 300,000 acres, and as of today, about 27% contained. The real issue I've been seeing from it is that it's been seriously threatening the city or the small town of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Yes, not the Las Vegas, but well, they would argue they are the Las Vegas. My friends who have lived there previously saying they came first, but sure, but there's one name you recognize, and actually a pretty stunning picture from the NASA Earth Observatory showing the definable cloud of smoke going all the way up to Trinidad on the Colorado border there. See if we can post that up in our feed a little bit later here. Burning again, just thousands and hundreds of thousands of literal acres. So that is, and I mean, I've had friends up in that area who they have cattle and things like that, even found themselves in a situation where they could no longer have a safe route to move the livestock. So just had to open the pens and hope it would work out from them. And there have been evacuations in that area. And all of this is to say, not just as much as keep them in your thoughts and prayers and donate if you can. Definitely consider that, but also consider the fact that we're not totally removed from such a situation here in El Paso. I mean, even ahead of some of the major fireworks holidays, as it's usually considered, there have been talks of bans on certain kinds of burning, even within just the unincorporated areas of El Paso County, because we got a lot of dry conditions. Those summer rains that we were all fascinated by with last year, including, that lake forming along with the beach and the salt flats out there. I mean, all that rain was good, and the greenery was amazing. But without that greenery being able to continue to be green, without those rains showing up again this year, at least not at this point, we could find ourselves in a similar kind of range fire situation. Because look at any piece of almost undeveloped property, even within city limits here in El Paso, you're going to be able to find quite a bit of essentially fuel. That's all it is in this current state, because it'll just take a small spark to get it going. So just watch yourself, watch the activities you're doing, and just keep it clean out there, because it's not an issue we've had to deal with. Not quite my lifetime, but near enough about. And the idea of just thousands of acres burning out here. Sure, we don't have the giant trees and the things like that, but that almost makes it a little bit more dangerous in certain ways, because it can move that much faster since it's all just brush, but can be thick in some areas. So we're not immune from it again, as creeping closer to here with the whole Anthony's Gap area catching. I mean, that just happened over a day, 30 acres. So it can really go faster than you think. So if you're doing any of these kind of activities that could lead to it, you better watch yourself and better make sure you have the things with you to be able to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of people ticked off at you. But speaking about other issues that are also creeping closer to our area, talking about CBP shootout at El Paso Port of Entry at around 5:11 p.m. on Sunday, according to a CBP spokesperson, that while attempting to inspect the vehicle, a driver made an abrupt movement, at which point the officers received a threat to themselves and fired at the driver, who fled from the inspection area at a high rate of speed and crossed into Mexico, said the spokesperson. Again, according to our news partners over at KFOX, and two CBP officers discharged their weapons during the incident. Unknown if the driver or any occupants were injured by the gunfire, because it just sped off and got out of the way here. So this kind of at least fits into my mind about what has been going on with these increasing amounts of border inspections and people trying to sneak through them. Again, almost returning to quote-unquote traditional issues when it comes to border security and immigration. Probably not as much on the immigration. Well, then again, we don't totally know in this case. The border security implications heading south always baffle me a little bit. I remember in my days back on TV, there was actually a circumstance where someone was fleeing from authorities and was just going to go straight into Mexico, and ended up being able to do so. and the thought in my mind was they can't call ahead and tell, Alajuanos on the other side, hey, we got this guy coming, maybe stop him. But apparently that level of coordination or infrastructure just wasn't in place because, well, on the U.S. side of things, it's primarily worried about coming north versus stopping someone going south here. So that's a little bit baffling. But again, one of the issues that is being talked about in city council, an issue and a statement on what has been going on with immigration. And again, one of the things that kind of hints at this, another story from the over 100 migrants reportedly released in downtown El Paso, saying that they actually went and found crews headed out in the area and found at least a few people who are being waiting for transportation around the area. Annunciation House tweeting that about the street release, referring to ICE releasing more refugees than what the House could take in. So this might be something that, city council is needing to deal with it. And specifically speaking to, again, our news partners, a bus driver saying that he saw ICE drop off about 150 migrants straight there, coming from countries like Turkey, Haiti, Poland, and Venezuela. Interesting situations there, and almost going back to what had happened under previous administrations in certain ways, the failure of coordination is, I guess, what this really comes down to, specifically for our area, because we've talked a lot about what has been going on in other sectors and segments of the border being overwhelmed at certain points. But again, El Paso is unique, at least to my understanding, in a lot of ways that there was a level of coordination, essentially a not being dropped off on the street, but going into that whole Annunciation House ecosystem, microcosm of nonprofits to deal with that in the area, as opposed to just, wandering aimlessly, which there are arguments to be made, sure, either way, but still, finding that to be a better alternative than just being dropped off on the street and therefore being whatever neighborhood they were left in is kind of problem here. RJ saying, I remember many times going right into Mexico with no guards in the shacks you just drove in. Truly open border. Yeah, I mean, I know there's arguments and there's a lot of rhetoric that comes in when we discuss many of these issues. But yeah, you want to talk about not even a semblance of enforcement? Never experienced that myself here, but interesting remembrances coming from that. So there's a lot to get into here with all these issues. And again, specifically on the border security and the immigration issue, expecting that there will be response coming out from the city of El Paso and city councilors there. So we'll talk more about that, but we'll go ahead and take that next break of the hour here right now and tell you what, with all the major issues we're talking about here, we'll go ahead and open up those phone lines as well. A little bit earlier in the show than we used to, but I already got some interest I see over on the line. So that number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM, because I know people want to chime in on this. Again, that city manager contract extension and change in compensation schedule, not totally surprising, though I am a little bit interested to see that the city council members were willing to consider this at this point, given the interest, furor, uproar, depending on who you talk to and how you want to describe it, over that whole situation. But like I said, we'll get into all that and more coming out of this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call if you're wanting to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Whatever your plans are going on this weekend or coming up the rest of this week, oftentimes the times that we gather together is often around the dinner table or with food and with family here. And a great way you can do that and really help spice up your life, visiting our friends over at Enhanced Flavors and finding their great selection of olive oils, extra virgin varieties, and flavored, plus their balsamic vinegars that can really take your cooking and what you're making to the next level. Even as simple as a marinade before you throw it on the grill can really add a whole lot of spice to your life. So you can find them online at enhancedflavors.com. That's enhanced with a D, flavors.com. Or they're also going to be out in the community at various events. We've got coming up here this weekend, actually, the Beer Fest, the Sun City Craft Beer Festival. And they're going to be out there with us as well. You'll even find me out there this weekend, particularly on Saturday afternoon. And I'll be looking for them as well because, if you want to consider gifts coming up for holidays, Father's Day is a great time to share the gift of flavor, among other things. But again, also online at enhancedflavors.com. Again, that's enhanced with a D, flavors.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Selena Madrid with your CBS 4 News Update. This morning, CBS 4 on your side is looking for answers after Immigration and Customs Enforcement left more than 100 migrants at a downtown bus station over the weekend. Now, that's according to a tweet by the Annunciation House on Sunday. CBS 4 went to the bus station where the migrants were released. We were able to speak with the bus driver. He said he saw ICE agents drop off about 150 migrants. Our crews also found a migrant who was still waiting at the station. She says she's traveled across 14 countries to get here. We've reached out to both CBP and ICE for comment on this matter. CBS 4 has also reached out to Ruben Garcia, the founder of the Annunciation House. You can count on us to bring you their responses as soon as we hear back. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is investigating a shooting that happened over the weekend. Agents said during a vehicle inspection on Saturday, the driver made a quick movement, which prompted agents to draw their weapons. CBP says they fired their weapons at the car as it fled the checkpoint and headed for Mexico.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
A multi-vehicle crash on Border Highway eastbound before Midway is causing a big backup right now. It's also blocking the two middle lanes Border Highway eastbound. The backup is to Fonseca, and it's 50-minute backup right now. Gateway Boulevard southbound at Cassidy, a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder, and an accident reported Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Montwood. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. We've got mostly clear skies tonight and light winds with temperatures dropping into the lower to mid 60s. So a pretty quiet night for us. But as we get into our Tuesday, once again, we could be looking at more record heat as temperatures remain well above average. Now, the good news is we are going to see a cool down going into the weekend. The bad news is we have a lot more wind this week again.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? Need Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates in one place. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Attend the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. See dealers selling the finest in modern guns, custom knives, ammo, scopes, Old West collectibles, and much more. Buy, sell, and trade at the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Get $2 off. Go to azgunradio.com.
New on Curiosity Stream. With superior armies comes superior weapons. How has innovation mechanized the battlefield? From bullets to battleships and everything in between. It's machinery of warfare. Plus, from the gross to the gourmet. See how that in-flight meal lands on your tray table. On secrets of your airline food. It's all on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
Local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else. Turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. And let's talk El Paso.
Quit staring at your phone. Just leave it alone and get to Brake Masters. Get your tires aligned, then get out there and see what you can find. Get your vehicle in Brake Masters shape today. Download coupons and schedule an appointment from your smartphone.
Brake Masters.
We give you an honest break.
This report is sponsored by Brake Masters.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments coming in through those way, including John Brazelton, RJ, Ted Kors, John Hertz, and a whole lot more. Also, those dropping those likes and reacts. We do appreciate that. Monica Cervantes, Flaco Jimenez, and Robbie Flores. I mean, the Facebook page and all those places is still more or less the main one. It's where most of the people experience this and comment, and that's where the Skeptic Squad lives. And the Thunderdome of comments usually forms. So you want to wade in there, forewarned is forearmed. But also, we do have those phone lines open right now. We're doing them a little bit earlier than we usually do because I know there's a lot of interest in these particular subjects. So that number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM, the number to call there. John Brazelton chiming in, kind of linking those two major subjects we were talking about, immigration and, well, the local city response, and the city manager here saying, wait until El Paso starts getting hit by as hard, I think he meant to say, as Eagle Pass does every day. You'll have thousands of illegals milling around downtown. Then maybe our city manager will start earning his salary. Don't think it's totally linked to that, but, I mean, there is a city coordination office that has been created, and not dealing with it, well, El Paso Matters with another in-depth article as well, pointing out that, yeah, it's been about 3 years since a similar type of activity of releasing without coordination with local organizations and agencies has happened. So definitely probably going to be needing to be discussed further. And again, our news partners over at KFOX 14 expecting to have more on this coming up at KFOX 14 News at 9. So stay tuned for that as well. But going back to those phone lines right now, again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Johnny in Central on the line here with us right now. Johnny, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Matter of fact, while you had me on hold, I decided to go online and do a little research here to make some comparisons. And some of the major cities, I did L.A., California, New York City, New York, Dallas. And the average city manager salary is anywhere from $90,000 to $100,000. And these cities are larger, and I chose those cities because they're larger than El Paso.
Yeah, definitely.
And as you said at the beginning, in your opening, you can't blame the individual that's holding the position. Whether it be Mr. Gonzalez or someone else. But I do really blame, unless someone can give us a press conference, go on TV, and sit down and tell us, look at the screen and tell us what the heck does a city manager do to earn this kind of money. It would be a little bit understandable. I compared that salary with some of our national elected leaders, as you guys probably already know. The average congressperson or senator earns around $174,000. The president of the United States earns $400,000, and he runs the whole country, no matter who is there. And then I noticed that some of the I saw the ABC Extra last night, and some of the hosts there said some things that kind of was jaw-dropping. They were saying that their jobs pays something like housing and a free car every month, and insurance. And I think they might have made a mistake when they said 6 months medical insurance. I don't know anybody in our country can get that free medical insurance, but who knows? And I'm just wondering what the heck was our city council thinking about when they came up with a plan like that. And this one lady said, who was on last night, she said, rather than doing the haggling, if it's going to be something like that where he's ready to take a deal from another area, how loyal is he to our city? And she said she wants to just let him go. Don't argue with him, let him go. So that's what I did. I just like someone explain to me why, again, this guy or a woman, if it comes out to be a woman, makes more than their bosses. I don't know any place that's like that. Go ahead, sir.
I mean, yeah, that's a valid question here. A simple answer to that last question, anyway, why he makes more than the people who technically employ him city council is because, well, their salary there is a negotiation, whereas the salary for the actual elected officials is something that we don't set, but we approve any increase of. And let's just say voters in El Paso have been not totally enthusiastic about the idea of there being much increases. Again, the comparison between the city and the county is the one I will point to the most often, but to be fair, even then, that salary does even outstrip what the compensation is, even for the county judge here. So the county judge is not his boss, just to make that perfectly clear, but that's even more than them because that's in like mid six figures, whereas all the county commissioners' compensation and salary is in the low six figures. Now, there's another total argument people bring up about that being too high, but hey, it matters who you vote for here. If I recall letting us know there might be an issue with our social media voice. Try refreshing here because others letting us know seems to be coming through fine here. But to your larger point then about the level of compensation, I know that you're doing your comparison of other major cities in the country. It makes a certain level of sense. I will say that as we talked about it last week, this contract for the, again, city manager for El Paso is based on a somewhat more regional analysis of other major cities, including like Phoenix, Dallas, Tucson, those kind of places within this kind of regional sphere. I think Albuquerque was on that list too, if I'm not mistaken. None of it quite in front of me. Let me figure that out here because one again of our people we talked with on the show, Stephanie Cipher, did some of the original investigation and requesting some of the actual documents on the original and even updated contracts. I am sure she will be doing so again as soon as this contract is finalized here. Some of the outlets in town actually reporting that upon the acceptance of this contract, he is also going to be declining what is coming out about any other potential ones here. So whether or not this was a bargaining position, again, I kind of agree with you there that not much fault to be held with the individual in this seat, but any concern should definitely be directed straight to the elected officials voting in favor of this, because them doing so, they're the ones that are putting us on the hook for it. So any consternation on this matter should definitely go to them. So I think that, I think part of the problem as you kind of get there is that it's such an intractable position. Outside of sound bites coming out of city council meetings, it's hard to see what is being done. I mean, we're essentially kind of like at CEO level, if you want to take it completely out of the public sector consideration of this, that just the way that they're thinking about it and effectively what it seems like they're considering it as is not so much a, head of a bureaucracy, but essentially as a CEO, that they are in charge of everything downstream of them, and therefore that commensurate level of compensation is what I'm seeing. Again, no one is directly telling me this, but just reading between the lines and seeing how this keeps being talked about, how this compensation has gone up with that $450,000 per year potential. That would be not quite double what his original contract in about those 230s was. But there are a lot of other benefits there. Yeah, cars paid for. That's about another
one more
$500
thing,
a month.
Andrew, before I go. The buyout kills me too. Even the president of the United States doesn't get a buyout. He might get a pension, but he doesn't get a buyout. Why we got to pay this guy up to $1 million whether he leaves or not? He's almost like he's holding us hostage. And it reminds me of these major sports coaches, like down at UTEP and other places. These football coaches pulling huge six figures, and here we have college professors sitting in the classroom, really doing the real dirty work, so to speak, to trying to teach our people and say nothing about out here in the public field with these school teachers and so forth. It just blows my mind. I mean, I don't know who drew up this contract, but I don't like it. Again, if nothing else, the salary's too high, but a buyout? Come on. Who gets a buyout, So I'll let you go. I know you have a show to run, so because I could just be here forever. But thank you for letting me voice my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, thank you for the point in the call. These are important things to bring up and discuss here. And actually, I was curious about that last point you brought up there about the compensation comparison to whether is it like one of the highest actually of a public, otherwise public official, public employee. Better way to describe it here within the local area. And actually, according to Yahoo, Dana DeMel, UTEP football coach, gets $850,000 a year. So it's not the most for the city manager, but also, I mean, it's reasonable to question this and ask, okay, what exactly is going on here? What are our priorities and what are we actually getting out of it here? So I think it would be a smart thing for city council to come out and say, okay, here's exactly why we did this, and hold a nice little news conference on it, because that would be probably smart, particularly any of those that are, just say facing re-election this year. Probably a very good idea. So again, thank you for the point in the call here. Let's squeeze in another quick one before we hit this next break here. Again, the number to call 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. You're live with Talk El Paso. Who's this? All right, I guess we don't have him on the line there. Yeah, if you're going to be calling in with us and you're going to be holding on the line there, it might put you on a brief hold a bit in the middle of a segment, but if you're going to pop back up with us, just make sure you got an ear to the line. We've got one more we can try here real quick. You're live with Talk El Paso. Who's this?
Ben in El Paso, Ben on the inside.
Hey there, Ben. What's on your mind?
Has there been any news conferences from our city mayor, city county people, anybody from Veronica Escobar saying what we're going to do to keep the people safe from migrants coming into the El Paso area?
So that is actually something that they are going to be releasing a statement on. Again, our news partners over at KFOX 14 going to be covering that a little bit more at KFOX 14 News at 9. They are going to be releasing a response in the response to the latest surge of migrants, as they're calling it, because, that release that happened on El Paso city streets between 100 and 130, those not even going through the local nonprofit infrastructure, but just being straight release, which has shades of what happened in the previous administration, of concern here. So there will be something coming up there, but no immediate conference, I don't think, quite like you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the news conference would have. I mean, would have been something that the people of El Paso deserve. Have our city leaders and county leaders and governmental leaders tell us how we're going to be safe from these people.
Yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Again, I'll be looking forward to see what is coming out of this and exactly what City Council is talking about there. To my understanding, that meeting, in fact, still going on at this moment, to everything I'm seeing here. So, Happy getting out in front of this would probably be a good thing. So I'll be looking to see them do that, and we'll certainly be talking about that as soon as we see what exactly they're saying and what the local response that they're going to be calling for is going to be.
Yeah, For instance, I think one of the things that would really be good is that ICE should take these migrants and put them on Veronica Escobar's front yard. Let her deal with them.
I've heard similar suggestions and similar circumstances. Going to be surprised if that is exactly what's being done here, but I'm not in charge of that agency either.
Okay. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days. I'm sure our governmental officials will say some things that will make us feel a lot better.
Let's hope, but again, we'll be looking for that response there, certainly talking about it as soon as we've got more on it. So appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one. All right, we're going to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more calls, more comments, a whole lot more going on the line here with all of this. So again, if you want to get on the line, have your comment, question, concern, etc., by calling in 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We'll be back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Expect slowing and delays on the border highway eastbound at Midway from an accident, that multi-vehicle accident blocking the two middle lanes there. The delays actually have gotten better. They've been cut in half, only a 20-minute delay now. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Geronimo, an injury accident with El Paso Fire Medical on the scene, and an injury accident just reported Alameda Avenue at Texas. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Finding a great hire can be a challenge. That's why there's Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa here, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Once again, we were El Paso's #1 dealer in Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram sales in April. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas.
The Memorial Day sales event starts now at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. And there's never been a better time to get more for your old car, truck, or SUV. Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, we want it, so you can save big on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks with 0 APR for 60 months. All new 2022 Jeep Wagoneer full-size SUV with third row seating. 0 APR for 60 months. 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, we have aggressive lenders with great rates and terms, even if your credit is less than perfect. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso. El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APR is $16.67 per thousand finance on select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
With so many real estate agents to choose from, how do you find the best one? Hi, it's Glenn Beck. One key is just looking for the investment that an agent is willing to make to get your home sold. Brian Birds with eXp Realty and his team have a marketing budget 25 times higher than the average agent's annual income. This means your home gets maximum exposure because it's marketed to the widest possible audience and gets you the highest possible sales price. Brian is so confident in his ability to sell your home fast and for more money that he's willing to put his own money on the line. If your home doesn't sell at the price and deadline you agree to, he'll buy it from you himself. You're not going to find another real estate agent in El Paso who is that invested in getting your home sold. He's the only one I'd call. Google Brian Birds. That's Brian, B-U-R-D-S. Read over 400 five-star reviews, because I'm not the only one who knows you should call Brian Birds. Google Brian Birds or just check out brianbirds.com.
Are you a safe driver?
Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso. Your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Got those phone lines open as well, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. A lot of comments coming in on all those places, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. A.W. Hill asking, why did they not bring the illegals to the giant shantytown they have built on Fort Bliss that is nearly empty? Well, among other things, the point is not for them to stay here. That's, again, one of the unique things about El Paso, anyway, about the organizations built up around it, is that there's not much housing that goes on, to my understanding. I'm sure there are outlying cases, but again, talking about the whole Annunciation house microcosm of organizations, they're not all directly associated with it, but they all seem to work together pretty well on this, is to generally figure out what their final destination is and get them there, so to speak, with sometimes temporary, like on the order of days to a couple of weeks housing, and then ending up being something, getting them a ticket out of town kind of thing. So that's, it didn't just answer to your simple question, why not that? Because, well, that wasn't the focus, not to have them stay in the area, essentially. Now, I'm sure there are other issues they might have issue with that there, but there's the simple question to your answer. That is that. Louis Panado saying that I don't ignore the fact that the city manager was a Foster Hunt pig, no doubt to make themselves even richer. And RJ is saying that I wonder if Veronica makes good nachos and serves cerveza, she should really be more hospitable here. A lot of interesting commentary going on here. And also John Brownson into his previous comment about the compensation in town, that if UTEP basketball and football coaches have a bad season, they can be fired. Also, if they break their contract for a better job, they have to pay substantial amounts to UTEP to leave here. So a lot of interesting commentary on all these issues we're talking about here today. So again, if you want to chime in there, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Getting back to that phone line here right now. Again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have, I believe we had Danny over in Central here with us right now. Thanks for joining us. Hey there, you're live with Talk El Paso.
Yes, hello. This is Daniel Central area. I got to tell you, some I was voting today, and I was talking to some guy that was retired here in El Paso, from El Paso, and what I'm learning about that El Paso is the most expensive city to live in Texas, and it's the most expensive to go shopping. So I don't know if it's true or not. The thing about it is that people like the city manager and I know he gets a big chunk of money, and city council, they're scaring people away. A lot of people have moved. I know, and there's people moving in, but they're going to be in for a big surprise when they have to start paying those property taxes. And I don't know why we have a city manager. And what really makes me mad is why they gave that. They look like they get all the breaks. The powers that be, the rich people, and so that really makes me angry. And I was born and raised in this town, and I look at it now as a swamp, as a sewer. And I call it a ghetto city now. And that's all I have to say. That I'm told it's an increase. They're taxing the people out of existence in the city. And it's true. Well, have a good day, okay?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for the point on the call. I don't think it's accurate that El Paso is the most expensive city in Texas. I mean, even our tax rates, property taxes alone, we want to mention that here. I know that we're not seeing the biggest increase. I mean, within certain counties here, actually the one that houses Austin, looking at property rates going up 50%. So if I'm thinking about most expensive places, I'm thinking either Austin, Dallas, or Houston. San Antonio probably close by, but Austin more than not. Again, I knew some people who used to live there, family friends that managed to have a property, bought it before things were redonkulous like they got. And if they just held onto that property, like they nor their heirs would have ever had to have worked again, because it was not exactly a mansion, decent sized house, enough for the full family. Kids moved out, and then, it just skyrocketed from there. Had a nice view of Lake Travis down there too. So Yeah, it's not the most expensive, but we do have some of the highest tax rates, I will say. But again, rates don't necessarily translate to absolute money. It just is a higher percentage of the lower general cost here. So that being said, there are still people who have lived here for years. I mean, you may have heard of a phrase called not exactly gentrification, but you can kind of see it from here. The idea of people who are able to live in an area because of changes going on to that area outside of their control, no longer able to live there. So again, not strictly speaking gentrification, but similar kind of currents it does feel like going on in certain ways here. But yeah, when we're talking about city council and the city manager, again, I don't put any blame on Tommy Gonzalez. Again, Tony Gonzalez, as is sometimes referred to, is the congressional representative from Texas 23. We need them to come together and figure this name thing out, because I know I've slipped up on that a couple of times here. So again, Tony Gonzalez, one for the, well, all the way from the Lower Valley to San Antonio outskirts as the congressional representative. Tommy Gonzalez, the El Paso city manager, just keep it clear and straight there. And Calvin Williams pointing out too that property tax increase is equivalent to a tank of gas a month, and considering the price of gas, yeah, that's significant there. And also John Browston and our previous caller mentioning there, early voting. We do have that next election underway here right now. So we'll talk more about that and a whole lot more coming out of this next break. I know we got calls on the line that we'll be getting to there. So if you're on hold, stay there. Otherwise, we'll be back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, if you want to call in, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. A whole lot more we'll get into after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Expect slowing and delays on the border highway eastbound at Midway from an accident, that multi-vehicle accident blocking the two middle lanes there. The delays actually have gotten better. They've been cut in half, only a 20-minute delay now. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Geronimo, an injury accident with El Paso Fire Medical on the scene, and an injury accident just reported Alameda Avenue at Texas. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Attend the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. See dealers selling the finest in modern guns, custom knives, ammo, scopes, Old West collectibles, and much more. Buy, sell, and trade at the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Get $2 off. Go to azgunradio.com.
If you're 45 or older, this message could save your life. Health experts now recommend starting regular colorectal cancer screening at age 45. Colorectal cancer is a leading cause of cancer death, but it's preventable through regular screening. There are more screening options than ever before, including at-home tests. You've got the guts to prevent colorectal cancer. Talk to your doctor about your options and visit cdc.gov/screen4life for more information.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working. Who, me? Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
It's important to know what's going on, especially around the world.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
News on the hour and the hat. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. The President and First Lady Jill Biden will visit Buffalo Tuesday after Saturday's deadly mass shooting in a supermarket.
To meet with families of the victims, first responders, and community leaders.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the Bidens hope to comfort families of the victims. 10 people were killed in the mass shooting. Orange County officials say the deadly shooting Sunday at a Taiwanese church gathering was a politically motivated hate incident. Sheriff Don Barnes says the accused shooter, 68-year-old David Cho of Las Vegas, was upset about political tensions between China and Taiwan. One person was killed and 5 others were wounded in the shooting at the Geneva Presbyterian Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods. There may be some hope to the ongoing baby formula crisis. Abbott, the company with a shuttered plant in Michigan, has entered into a consent decree with the FDA in a bid to restart production at its facility. A court must approve it, and initial requirements to restart the plant must be met. When that happens, the facility could come back online within 2 weeks. However, it's estimated that various products made by Abbott won't be available on shelves for 6 to 8 weeks from the time when the plant is once again operational. The prime ministers of Sweden and Finland say they want to join NATO. Lisa Taylor reports.
Finnish leaders say Russia has changed a lot just in the past few months and expressed concern about a peaceful future. Finland's intention to join the alliance must first be voted on in Parliament, but is expected to be passed easily. Swedish Parliament debated the move Monday and was widely supported. The Swedish Prime Minister said joining the alliance will help ensure the safety of Swedes.
The trial is underway in the case against a Hillary Clinton campaign lawyer accused of inventing a Russian link to former President Trump. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. Nearly 1,000 illegal immigrants have been bused from Texas to the nation's capital. The plan was conceived by Governor Greg Abbott, who's been in a feud with the Biden administration over border policies. So far, a total of 35 buses have left the Lone Star State with a destination of Washington, D.C. The plan has inspired Arizona's governor to do the same. Iowa's primary election voting is about to begin. Wendy Wild reports.
Early in-person and mail-in voting starts this week, Wednesday, May 18th, for Iowa's 2022 primary election. The primary narrows candidates within political parties to one candidate each to appear on the general election ballot in November. For those not voting early or not mailing in a ballot, primary election day in Iowa is June 7th.
Top execs at one of Wall Street's most high-profile investment banks will now be taking unlimited vacation. Liz Warner reports.
The move follows an earlier incident this year where a group of junior staffers at Goldman Sachs reportedly threatened to quit over what they called inhumane 100-hour work weeks in a business already notorious for long days. A company memo has now revealed that senior Goldman staff may take unlimited time off without any fixed vacation day entitlement, and all employees are now required to take off at least 3 weeks starting next year. With many companies struggling to keep people, this is seen as one of the latest moves to minimize burnout, improve mental health, and keep talent on the roster.
Jason Momoa is apologizing to fans for taking photos inside the Sistine Chapel. He posted a photo of himself on May 9th inside the famous chapel adorned with Michelangelo paintings. Fans quickly pointed out that visitors are typically forbidden from taking pictures. Momoa later took to Instagram to say sorry by posting a shirtless workout video, saying it wasn't his intention to disrespect the culture by taking the photo. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. WIN. That's WIN. Enter it now.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving at mad.org.
Have you or someone you know been impacted by a drunk or drugged driving crash? MAD is here to help. At MAD, they provide services at no cost for the victims, like emotional, judicial, and access to financial support. Call 1-877-MAD-HELP.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Love this radio station? Take it with you everywhere you go, along with thousands more just like it when you download the free iHeartRadio app. Have something to say? Send a voice message straight to the studio by tapping the talkback mic inside the iHeartRadio app. You might even end up on the air, but that's just radio. Check out tons of playlists like Songs of Summer, plus the most podcasts on the planet, including chart toppers like Sympathy, Pains, and Betrayal. It's all waiting for you now on the free iHeart app. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
iHeartRadio.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. All of those ways are to say that you can get at us and get your commentary, see our show, all the things that we put up there, as well as chime in, get your comments in. The conversation often takes on its own tone and tenor over there, and we can even pop them up during the actual live stream of it there. I just like the interaction that comes with it. Another way to get people involved in the conversation about that which infects us here in the borderland. But we do also have those phone lines open right now. That number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. So if you want to get us those ways, you certainly can. Again, on that talkback feature, I know there are some questions that have been coming up about that, how it works exactly. So just one more demonstration. And to make it clear, this is to getting to us at the radio station. If you're talking to people at podcasts, I know one person was wanting to comment on like the Sean Hannity podcast. Tune into the podcast, and those comments will go direct to him. Otherwise, they come to us about the programming we got on air. But otherwise, if you're on the page, if you got the iHeartRadio app, and you're on the 690 page, as you might see here, this is a screenshot off of my phone. What you got is you got that stop and start button on the right-hand side, and then right next to it should be a little red button with a microphone on it. You press that, and you'll be able to leave us a message. We've had some come through. Just make sure you're talking into your phone or your device like you would normally for, a voice call or comment, because we had at least one come in, a commentary on other callers, shall we say, that was a little bit garbled, so we won't be able to play that back today. But, hey, make sure to download it, because I can tell you right now we're going to have some stuff coming to you that you're going to be able to get by using this system. So make sure you got the iHeartRadio app downloaded and make sure you're ready to go. Try a practice call with us. Again, you can leave us a comment day or night there. Just make sure you're clear. You're talking with the Talk El Paso on it. If you're actually on the stream there, on the 690 stream, it'll show up closer to the bottom of the page here. But if you got any questions about that, feel free to drop us a comment or a question anywhere you like here. But let's go back to those phone lines now. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Jay on the west side here with us right now. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
You know what? I have two. It's kind of like a two question. One is about the immigration issue, about those immigrants being just dropped off in downtown El Paso.
Right.
I saw a hearing last week with Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio, a Republican out of Ohio, questioning Mayorkas, who's Homeland Security Secretary, about if status of 42 known terrorists that are on the no-fly list, whereabouts on where they were released in the country, and he could not answer it. They asked for his resignation, and for failure to do his job. And how are these people being vetted, being left in our city? That's what concerns me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's kind of both parts of it there for you.
Yeah, you have the Homeland Security Secretary who doesn't know what's going on. He's obviously incoherent and not doing his duty as his job. And you want people like Veronica Escobar, who doesn't know what's going on in the world as well, to answer these questions, and for people in our city to answer these questions. If Homeland Security can't even answer these questions for us.
Yeah, this reminds me of when I saw the first news conference held by Jen Psaki, White House, former now, I do believe, White House spokesperson, how the whole circle back thing was like, okay, that's a bit of a cop out, but I'm sure this won't become a common thing. I could have never have known how often that would become such a common response here, because that does seem to be, I mean, half of the stuff that I've watched of Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary referring to there, Alejandro Mayorkas, how much of an answer that is often used by him and others seemingly within this administration here. So mildly prophetic, it feels like the first time I saw that, kicking myself thinking like, oh, I'm sure this won't become common, because it totally has. Because, yeah, that has oftentimes been an unsatisfying answer, I feel like, to most of the stuff, including simple requests for documentation that have been going on for weeks or months at the time that the representative asking for it has asked for. So, yeah, that's concerning in its own right here, and I definitely see the link you're making there. But locally, to my understanding, these are primarily those for asylum requests. So there are, to my understanding, having to be some kind of verification process gone through, while then their final determinations are waiting here. But again, them just being dropped out without even any coordination with the local organizations that usually help coordinate this is more, I mean, there's several levels of concern that obviously come up here.
Exactly. And if they commit a crime here in El Paso, someone, God forbid, something happens, who's going to be held responsible? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they're very valid questions, and one we'll have to see. The city council, again, expecting a response here from them today. I'm sure we'll be talking about that more if we get something during the show, or definitely tune back in with us tomorrow. We'll definitely be talking about that, regardless of what they say today or not.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys have a great day.
I appreciate you. Have a good one there, too. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. A lot of commentary coming in on some of these issues. The idea of the midterm elections and what be coming of that over on the YouTube here. Kevin Williams also pointing out that considering the price of gas or a pound of bacon, I have a chest freezer, and I managed to stock that thing pretty well full, and I've been living off that, and I'm not looking forward to refilling it anytime soon here. So a lot more commentary coming in there. RJ, Catherine Codry, John Brazelton, Kevin Williams is mentioned here, A.W. Hill, Louis Pinado, Flaco Jimenez, and more a little bit earlier, Barbara Carrasco, also dropping those likes there, Monica Cervantes, Flaco Jimenez, and Robbie Flores. We do appreciate it. Helps with all those algorithmic things here. Beginning back to those phone lines now, 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. We do have Barbara on the west side here with us right now. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I want to expand on that article that you mentioned in the El Paso Times regarding the 100 illegal immigrants that were dropped at the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
In that interview with Mr. Garcia, Ruben Garcia, he said the reason they couldn't take any were because they were at capacity.
Yep.
And another factor is shortage of volunteers. That's no mystery. Even volunteers burn out. You can't work people to death to keep bringing in legal immigrants. And then another factor he said is on weekends they use the facility for religious services. So it's not like a facility that receives people 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he said that the city and the county are not prepared to receive, and I call it a tsunami, of illegals. And he said that they should be securing hospitality rooms so that they could supplement what he's offering or what he has to offer to those coming in. Well, my question is, why haven't they contacted Endeavor? They're the one with a no-bid $89 million contract with the Biden administration to house and feed illegal immigrants. Why is our tax dollar, and think about what's happening here. Our federal tax dollars are being used to obliterate the border wall. Our county dollars are being used to bring them on in, like Samaniego says. And now he's saying that the city and the county should be, spending our tax dollars for more illegal immigrants. And Stout says, well, we need to be notified sooner so that we can make arrangements to transport them to the bus station or the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they interviewed some of the guys that were there. He called an Uber to get to the airport. They were already at the bus station at the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they using more city tax dollars? Our tax dollars are at the federal level, the state level, because Governor Abbott is forced to protect our borders, so our tax dollars are being used there. And now they want to use them at the city level.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a stop to this. So, they need to answer why they feel our tax dollars are just to be used at will. And my question is, you said that they're going to have a news conference this afternoon. Take it with a grain of salt. Be skeptical about anything they say because nobody can prepare themselves for a tsunami, not even the federal government. El Paso is going to be something like you see in Del Rio, all the way down the Rio Grande Valley. That's what we're becoming, and that's an indicator of what we saw on Sunday. You know, Samaniego said, let them in. We know what we're doing. We know where to take them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, I'm anxious to see that news conference tonight, how they're going to explain our tax dollars being wasted at the city level now. So he and Escobar and Mayorga are destroying America by their lawless behavior. It's time to go vote against Escobar, against Samaniego, and we have viable, qualified, young, talented, eager candidates. We've got to vote on Vendades in and vote Escobar out. We have to vote Giner in and vote Samaniego out. And let's not kid ourselves. Bottom line, neither the city nor the county are prepared or will they be prepared, and nothing can prepare them for the tsunami headed our way. We've got to vote these people out because we matter, and they don't see that, and they don't believe that we matter. They just, like I said, they turn the page, they close the chapter, and they go on to something else. El Paso needs to wake up. We need to go out there. 58% of Catholics are Hispanics.
Mm-hmm.
52% of Hispanics, I'm getting off subject here, do not believe in abortion. Now we don't believe in abortion. I'm Hispanic, I don't. We have the border. We don't believe in open borders. Hey, El Paso, wake up. We're red. Don't be ashamed to go out and vote for what's right. Not because you're red or blue, but this is our community, and we deserve a safe and fair community, and these people are not giving us one.
Certainly agree with you on the concept of there being, people going out and vote. I'm not sure fear is a part of it. Frankly, I almost feel like if fear were a part of it, like, oh, I don't know, if I go out and vote how I believe, it would be bad or I'll get ridiculed for it. I don't even think there's that much thought put into it for the average person. And I do absolutely mean the average person here, giving our voter turnout rates, the vast majority of people in these regions just, I don't even think about it. There's no connection between how they live their lives, how they see things progressing, and the ballot box. It's just not even understood is the only thing I can come up with. And that makes it that much harder to combat, just because that's my most worn out soapbox that I often climb up on, because that's a serious issue we got to deal with, because that's step one. I mean, all the talk about waking people up, getting people involved, that's literally step one in my mind here.
Andrew, look at the lunacy that we put up with. At the city council meeting last week, our representative Suarezan, he's my representative, said that there's a veterans commission and therefore women should have a commission. The whole city, there would not be one soul in the city against a veterans commission. You put an emotional social issue on an agenda and you are going to divide the city. So to compare a veterans commission to a women's commission, and now if they kept it with just to wage disparity and whatever else they want to do, those issues people can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
But you put abortion on there, you put that emotional issue on there, you've lost half the city, if not more. So that's how their thinking is so far gone. They don't even think deep of what they're saying and what they're comparing. That you sit there stunned, but you can't say anything because it's at a council meeting. But we need to be talking about these things. How can they compare the veterans to abortion? And let's not fool ourselves. That's exactly what this women's commission is about. The catalyst, the impetus was Roe versus Wade. So there's a lot of things that El Paso needs to wake up to, and we need to get out there and do what we can.
Absolutely here. And again, on that voting thing, we do have that runoff election, early voting going on right now, open today. I have gotten so many texts because of all the lists that I'm on saying, go vote for this, go and do that. Even got one of these more enterprising statewide candidates send me a calendar invite to remind me to go out there. So it's certainly a lot of focus on it, but I'm just hoping we can get anywhere near double digits again this time around, though. Still not holding my breath here. Tell you what, we got to take that next break right now. I know we got some people on the line here. We'll get with those calls and a whole lot more coming out of this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Speaking about important dates coming up, if you haven't noticed, we do have, just that little day known as Father's Day coming up here. I already got my plans in mind, and let's just say part of those plans will probably include a Gentleman's Republic barber salon and men's spa because, well, they're where I trust to go, and wouldn't you want someone as important as your own dad in your life here to be, well, experiencing the same kind of thing here? So you can give them a call at 915-532-3000. That's 915-532-3000, or find them online at gentsrepublic.com. That's GENTS republic.com, because of course they have got some of the best services here in town. Expert level hair and beard styling, body care, beard grooming, all of the tools that you also need to accomplish this. So they are basically your one stop for all the things related to basically everything on your head in terms of grooming and personal hygiene. So find them, again, right down the street from us. Beautiful old Trost building, old in the way that it is historic and has a sense of place to it with some very modern facilities inside of it. Again, gentsrepublic.com. That's GENTS Republic.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Still seeing lots of slowing on Border Highway eastbound before Fonseca, before Midway. That's where the crash was. An earlier crash, 3-vehicle collision. Still blocking the 2 center lanes there with a backup. Expect about a 20-minute delay. I-10 westbound at Piedras, an accident reported. Another crash, Joe Battle, northbound at Montwood. Police on the scene. Injury accident downtown Alameda Avenue at Texas. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has your workplace covered with furniture and organizational items curated by Staples Work From Home Style Squad. Now get 25% off storage and filing products, chair mats, decor, and lighting with the purchase of a desk or office chair. In-store only. Offer ends 5/28. Staples, the working and learning store.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with a new way to enjoy our beautiful planet. Energy consumption is a primary contributor to a changing climate, producing around 27% of greenhouse gases in the United States. Save money and energy at home by turning off your computer completely before you go to bed. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hey, it's Mario Courtney Lopez, and we know life is better together.
Smart Mouth mouthwash gives us the confidence to make life's moments amazing.
We are all getting together more, and Smart Mouth's 24-hour power of fresh breath with just 2 rinses a day keeps us from worrying about bad breath in those up-close moments.
Go to smartmouth.com/radio to save 20% or find Smart Mouth at your favorite store to give you confidence as we get closer to each other.
Remember to make life's moments better together with Smart Mouth at smartmouth.com/radio.
I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code AUTO for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code AUTO. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code AUTO for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code AUTO for a $5 bonus.
Freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio. 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We are up on Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk are the names you can find us under most of those platforms here. A lot of interesting comments coming in here. Yes, as Kathy Crowdery mentioning here over on the YouTube page, the Buffalo shooting, certainly we'll get into a little bit later in the program here, because the shades between that and El Paso, of course, have been coming up a lot here. But more on the local issues. Barbara Carrasco mentioning back in 2018, Ruben Garcia being mad with the Obama administration for dealing with or mishandling some of these issues here. One of the statements I fully agree with here. El Paso, get passionate about our city, our safety, about America. Yet people not being involved with it is very important here. Sheila Lazar also commenting in and chiming in on that. RJ as well, James Ratcliffe, Monica Cervantes letting us know that they're dumping many immigrants in Las Cruces too. I mean, this is not just an isolated issue in any means of description here. Calvin Williams, John Browse, Lieutenant A.W. Hill, Lou Pinato, and more a little bit earlier in the program here. So, again, if you want to chime in over on those social media outlets, you can. But let's click those phone lines right now. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876. 915-544-KTSM. We do have Rick in the Sacramento Mountains on the line here with us right now. Rick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Sure thing. What's on your mind?
I did want to start very much a very great, appreciative, thank you, very much gratitude for you and 690 for having this venue, for giving everyone, that is from the ignorant to the intelligent, and everyone. So I just wanted to give a very great thank you, because I hardly hear it, and thank you for having this venue, Andrew. Thank you very much. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Sure thing.
I just wanted to take care of that. What I wanted to comment on, I want to start a fire, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the fire. Barbara, you're right. You're right, but the word is incorrect. Tsunami, incorrect. The correct word is invasion. This is an invasion. People of El Paso, wake up, please. Democrats are the deceivers, are the liars. Our government, the word quasi, the definition for quasi is something that seems like it is, but it is not. We have a quasi government. They are dictated from the upper high Democrats, and they are told to take issue on these specific issues. They're told what to do, and they're zombies, and they go ahead. Like you said, Barbara, what? Abortion with veterans? They're just told what to do. Little peon puppets. The fire I'm starting. And now Republicans, I lost a lot of friends because of the Trump psychosis, and they're still stuck in it, and now they're all quiet. They can't even stick their heads out. They're still stuck in the ground like nothing's happening. And that's the Democrats. Wake up. You're seeing an invasion. Abbott's going to declare an invasion. You watch. This 100 that came, this is just the beginning. El Paso people, hey, it's not happening to us. Now wake up. Now, with that, everything is, we should go for impeachment. That Republicans, I'm going to put you on fire. Go to Veronica Escobar. Go to her house and demonstrate in front of her house. She's not a judge. You're not supposed to do that. You watch, in the next 10 minutes, cops would come and arrest you. But they can't do it to the people, the judges that matter, the Democrats, the evil, warmongering Democrats that believe in violence, believe in killing, believe in hurting people. That's what you Democrats. I'm starting the fire. I'm tired of everything. And then that guy that talks like that. And Raul, you're a fool. It rhymes right up. You ignorant. So thank you, Andrew. And I wanted to rant and rave and vent because I'm not in El Paso. I left there. I grew up there. It's a beautiful city. But people, half of them are dim-witted out from psychosis programs, I believe, through the TV and all the hate that was propagated. I used to be Democrat. I quit because I saw so much hatred. And I said, well, hey, let's give this Trump man, let's see. He's a movie star. Let's see what he's got. You know, I was open, but I moved away from hatred. I moved away from negativity. He started showing positive. Hey, got a bunch of people out of prison that were unjustly incarcerated. Put it, you cannot be incarcerated on your first offense. That's a lot of fast. Does anybody know it? No, because the Democrats hit it. Pelosi and all of it. I'm finished. I'm going to go back to local. Go protest at these Democrats deceiving quasi-government. Go to their house to see if you get arrested. If I were in El Paso, I would start it. And I hope everybody listening to me, I hope I'm the instigator. And I hope I fire you. And I hope you go and do these things. And when I see action, I will come and join and be the first one to stand on their lawn and get arrested. Thank you, Andrew.
No, thank you very much. I mean, I appreciate the passion here. Glad you're not talking about a literal fire. Talking about New Mexico lately, it can often come up here. So yeah, talking about lighting a fire in people's hearts and minds and getting them moving and activated, I think that you're going to be hard-pressed to find a more important issue. I'm not saying it's the biggest issue of the moment, but really underlying most of the things we talk about, local impacts. I mean, we got international things that we don't always have a handle on, including this one here, that having a total local response without something coordinated statewide and national may not totally work for. But I will say that without people actually doing and taking action about it and just voting locally, I think that more people being involved would not be a worse thing. Wouldn't put us in any worse position we are right now. And in fact, I think might help us deal with some of these if people truly understand that their voice does matter. I think that's the real issue here. A lot of people think that, well, there's nothing I can do individually that'll make a difference with all of these issues here. And nothing could be further from the truth, because literally this is where it stems from. The consent of the governed, so to speak here, because if that doesn't exist, in fact, they found the kind of sweet spot, I think, for a lot of elected officials right now. The idea that, well, it's only because the consent of those willing to be involved in the governance. And that's all they have to worry about. That's all they have to cater to. So if it was actually the representative population of this area, yeah, I do think things would be a bit different here. So you're entitled to your opinion on the rest of it here, but on the voting, you're not going to find much of disagreement with me on that here. So thank you for the point in the call. Do appreciate it here. Tell you what, we got to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more of these comments, more of the calls, more of the issues on the line here. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. If I just dump someone off the line, I do apologize for it. May have fat fingered a button here, but we'll get to more of those calls. Again, the number to call, 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
I'm Selena Madrid with your CBS 4 News Update. Crews in southern New Mexico are working to contain a brush fire near the Anthony Gap. The Doña Ana County Fire Department first responded to reports of the fire yesterday afternoon. Containment efforts have since been turned over to the Bureau of Land Management in New Mexico. Doña Ana County Fire tells us their crews will remain on hand to assist the Bureau with containment efforts. Over in central El Paso, crews work to knock down a house fire near the intersection of Piedras and Findlay Avenue, not too far from San Antonio Avenue. Firefighters on the scene told our crews the property looked vacant. There's still no word on what may have led to the flames, but so far, no injuries have been reported. As always, you can stay up to date with our latest news by signing up for our CBS 4 newsletter. It's easy and free to sign up. Just go to cbs4local.com, enter your email address, and from there, you'll start receiving our daily news updates straight to your inbox. I'm Selena Madrid with your CBS 4 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
That earlier crash on Border Highway eastbound near Ascarati Park has got to back up to before Fonseca. You can expect 29-minute delays. It's down to one single lane, center lane, that's blocked. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Geronimo, an injury accident. Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Montwood, police on the scene of another crash. And a crash on El Paso Street at Missouri Avenue. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. We've got mostly clear skies tonight and light winds with temperatures dropping into the lower to mid 60s. So a pretty quiet night for us. But as we get into our Tuesday, once again, we could be looking at more record heat as temperatures remain well above average. Now, the good news is we are going to see a cool down going into the weekend. The bad news is we have a lot more wind this week again.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples is your shipping solution for small business with packing and shipping supplies and services. Get 15% off UPS Ground and 20% off UPS Express shipping services. Offer ends 5/28. Visit staplesconnect.com/services/shipping for details. If you need to ship at Staples.
Attend the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. See dealers selling the finest in modern guns, custom knives, ammo, scopes, Old West collectibles, and much more. Buy, sell, and trade at the Las Cruces Gun Show this weekend, May 21st and 22nd at the formerly Barnett Harley-Davidson dealership, 2600 Lakeside Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Get $2 off. Go to azgunradio.com.
Are you wondering if the COVID vaccine is right for your child? If you can trust it. My name is Dr. Moira Salaji. I'm the president of the American Academy of Pediatrics. And we want you to know it's important for all children 5 and over to get a COVID vaccine because we know millions of cases of COVID have been in kids. You can trust the COVID vaccine for yourself and for your kids. I do.
We can do this. Find a vaccine near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Have you or someone you know been impacted by a drunk or drugged driving crash? MAD is here to help. At MAD, they provide services at no cost for the victims, like emotional, judicial, and access to financial support. Call 1-877-MAD-HELP.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving at mad.org.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day.
I don't watch television, so I get all my news from you.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod, noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to connect with the show, be it over on our social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, under either Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And the phone line's full up at the moment here, but if you're wanting to get in there, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. A lot of comments coming in. Catherine Caudry, RJ, Sheila Lazar, James Radcliffe, and more tuning in, chiming in here. Maria Coleman a little bit earlier as well, and Barbara Carrasco. A lot of analysis, a lot of commentaries if you want to chime in there. James Radcliffe saying that we have propagandists as leaders and not the ones do that they were voted to do. It is who counts the votes that matter, not who votes. Okay, I'll just say it this way. I think there are some legitimate concerns about the way voting and election laws were handled, particularly going into the last election. But where I find my biggest issue, I've come to realize, is when it comes and says, well, and therefore we shouldn't do anything. Whenever it's this hands throw up, there's nothing we can do about it, so we should just be mad about it and not do anything. That's where it gets me the most, because this idea that, well, there's nothing to be done, so why even bother? Like, that means you should be focused on it even more. Like, sure, I am not going to say anything against griping about situations. I mean, that's not to say it's half of our show, but I mean, that's a significant focus of where a lot of commentary and concern about the issues comes from. So I'm not going to totally say that that's a bad motivation, but if that's all that's happening, that's not totally going right either. I will say that. I'm not saying that you were saying that, James, but again, that's what concerns me when you continue this line of thinking that is coming to, and therefore we shouldn't do anything, because whether you intended or not, that seems to be a lot of where that focus comes down to, and that is I'm never going to accept that as a conclusion here. But let's get back to the phone lines here right now. We do have Andrew on the west side here with us right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
If the devil himself were a Democrat, these people in El Paso would go out and vote for him.
I mean, okay, straight ticket party voting having finally been done away with in the state of Texas. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about it because yes, it made voting easier, therefore people willing to go out and do it. But the whole checking a box and being done with it and there not being any critical thing, I guess that's one of the examples where I found myself being like, yes, more people voting is good, but people doing it without any thought, as much as we talk about that and I'm not as concerned about it, is, well, I don't think it had a net benefit, particularly in a community like this, where, yeah, it's just pretty much absurd. We've had a smattering of Republican candidates winning in certain positions over the year, but for the most part, it's not even an avowed blue, no matter who. It's that well, for the most part, blue voters be the ones who seem to show up the most, at the very least.
Well, yes, but let me tell you, all these Democrats, everybody from Joe Biden down to Beto O'Rourke, they don't care about what happens concerning border security. Just in a recent article, Texas Tribune, dated April 22nd of this year, O'Rourke has clarified that he firmly supports ending the pandemic-era health order known as Title 42. I mean, this guy flip-flops every so often, but like I said, I always knew that was he. I always knew that he supported ending it. But then again, he doesn't have anything. He doesn't propose or have any idea of what to put in its place.
That is true, and yeah, as much as we talk about that, maybe tiny bit of agreement or at least common purpose that was talked about between O'Rourke and Governor Greg Abbott on the concept of not ending Title 42. His point was always until there is a replacement, not as a we just need to keep Title 42 for its own sake kind of thing. So that was the definite difference between our gubernatorial candidate positions here.
Yes. Oh, and another thing, as recently there was a letter penned to the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen. Veronica Escobar signed on to it, and so did other prominent Democrats across the state, asking the Treasury Department to investigate the expenditure of funds by Greg Abbott.
Yes, that has been a question since there were concerns about the use, and I think Texas Tribune, among others, was reporting on that, concerns about the use of otherwise pandemic funds, and I think people even called about that last week, now that I'm recalling it further, about concerns about that being put into this, while there are probably other further concerns about how some of these things were being used for, buybacks and investments that were not totally pandemic related.
Well, then we can go one step further. For our local county judge says, let them come in, we can handle them. But then again, they'll expend taxpayer money to accommodate illegal aliens. But just as I've said before, and I've been fighting for this, we as county retirees barely got a 1% cost of living raise. Figure that out.
Yep, no, that's an important one as well here. Something we put with our candidates previously, but probably needs to be focused on as we get closer to November as well.
Yes, agreed. And then you have another Democrat, Chris Magnus, who was no experience in federal law enforcement, was put in charge as commissioner of CBP, and this is an individual who advocates for sanctuary cities. Can you believe that, guys? Look who you're voting for, ladies and gentlemen. Look who you're getting in office. People who don't give a rat's butt about this community, your safety, your security, or your border.
Again, as much as there is talk about voting and integrity coming up in our comments right now, I consider this again a first step, because if you're doing most anything else but not even taking the time to at least go to the ballot box, that just brings into question the seriousness of the efforts and what you really intend with it. Because if it's just I'm mad as hell, not going to take it anymore, but even that step can't be done, I know others, then again, question its legitimacy as an actual concern, or are you just finding something to be ticked about?
Yes, I know what you mean. And the best way to start is making your voice heard, like on this radio. Hopefully, Joe Biden's Ministry of Propaganda won't silence us, or as I call it, the thought police.
Yeah, again, I've expressed my concern about even the concept of such a department, and even if with the best of intentions and true angels running it, how much of a slippery slope that is. Generally don't like slippery slope arguments, but this one, yeah, it's a pretty clear line you can see from here to where we would slide down to if given the chance. So, I mean, I've they've long been against cancel culture, against censorship, against talking about, not being able to talk about basically any subject. We have our certain purview and focus during the week here, but that's the reason we don't hold up the Fridays to be sacred, and we'll continue to do so for as long as we can be on air.
Yes, I agree. Well, folks out there, beware of the thought police. And Andrew, I turn the mic over to you.
I appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there. Appreciate it. All right, I think we got time for another call here on the line right now. Barbara Carrasco commenting about, thank goodness, again, got early voting starting today. Make a concerted effort to listen, comment, and call in, hopefully. Absolutely. That's something that we focus on most days out of the week here. But let's get to another call on the line here. We do have Carol on the west side here with us right now. Carol, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you, and thank all the wonderful callers that, well, started, I believe, your Talk El Paso off today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to reference the city manager.
Oh, yes.
Outrageous corruption here. Folks, the good citizens of this beautiful city that I moved to in 2006 and left for a couple of years and then came back. My gosh. Anyway, in the year 2004, the good citizens of El Paso were fooled and voted for a position called city manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this went rampant throughout the state of Texas, and I'm doing my investigation about all this corruption. Since we voted in a city manager, we can vote them out, folks, and we absolutely have to. And so that's my question for you. I'll come back to it, Andrew, in a couple of minutes as I go through this. Joyce Wilson was the first city manager elected,
right,
followed by Tommy Gonzalez. Okay, when you look at their bureaucracy, this bureaucracy alone, it's 2 to 3 million. And then Escobar, before she left the judge position with the commissioners, she, by herself, put in a county manager.
Right.
Another bureaucracy. This is so typical of Democrats. Unfortunately for Texas, I think they were overrun by voting in city managers, as well as many states in the United States. As we go back in time and look at the massive debt, quite frankly, El Paso City and County, we are bankrupt. If we ran our households like all of the elected since 1977 here, we'd have nothing. The whole place is bankrupt. So to go back in time, what they've done is they've used something called certificates of obligation.
Mm-hmm.
These things started, I know I have limited time, 1931 under the Roosevelt administration. And it was justifiable then because you could see that, well, where you have hurricanes, you have floods, you have natural disasters occurring. Mm-hmm. You need an emergency to immediately get things going. So they would issue these, what they call COs. Well, right now, understand this, good citizens, the debt that this city county that they have imposed upon all of us property owners is the highest in Texas. It's approximately $786 million. So when all of you start complaining and go to the CAD, etc., understand it all begins with our city council, our county, and our county commissioners. But who's in charge? What the Democrats love is to remove all the power from we the people. And very successfully, the COs then were revised in 1971. That was Nixon, but then both Congresses were in the hands of the Democrats. And then in 77, wow, they really expanded those certificates of obligation for anything and everything. And always the burden is on the property owners. So we are looking at, we absolutely have to revote and get and return to who we actually vote for, that we can then go after and say, why are you doing these things? We cannot afford any more COs. Anyway, and so let me think. That's what I'm asking for you, Andrew, if you know. Myself coming from other states, we need to submit an initiative? I know we can't do a referendum, I believe, in Texas. It's an initiative, and I need to do it as quickly as possible so we can get rid of the city manager, the county manager, and let's let the people that we do vote for that have to report to us. They have to be accountable to we the people again, the mayor and the city council, the judge and the county commissioners. So that's one thing right there that I wanted to review, the history of that. Wow. And then, of course, so fire good citizens. We need to fire Escobar, fire Samaniego, and all that are running as Democrats. And I guess that's about it. So,
well, let me just say this. So to your actual question then about what to do here, and reported by our news partners over at the El Paso Herald-Post last year, actually. I'm sure it's increased a little bit, but the first one coming up for me, $787 million was the outstanding certificate of obligation debt, including interest for the city of El Paso. So, yeah, that's pretty significant. That's a majority, beyond majority portion of the city of El Paso's budget every year. If not more than that. I kind of keep it back of hand mind that's around, you can think of the city of El Paso as $1 billion enterprise, because that's basically what it is these days. Now, again, talking about valuation and what it actually costs here, two different things, but that's what's more or less on the budget when you talk about all the things said and done, public safety, roads, etc. So, simple answer to your question. Yeah, there are two ways to do it. There are possibilities to submit ballot initiatives. Again, the one I direct you to most recently was that whole Lost Dog Trail effort that went on, that was put on the ballot by citizens. So I'll have to look up exactly the process for that, but I'll give you one other off the top of the head right now that is going on right now, the Ad Hoc Charter Advisory Committee. That is currently going in place through early June here. So you still got a better part of half a month, I guess you could say, a couple of weeks. So get on and get with them. Slightly different process, though. These will be recommendations that then go forth before city council. So if you don't think that there's the willpower on that body currently to deal with it, probably might not happen overall. But that's one way currently, especially, that you can deal with that. But yeah, we'll have to talk more about those other efforts and ability to do that here. So thank you for the point in the call. You have a good one there. Tell you what, we got to hit that last break right now. Coming out of the break, we'll talk more about these issues. Tell you we got coming up for you on the program and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
That earlier crash on Border Highway eastbound near Ascarati Park has got to back up to before Fonseca. You can expect 29-minute delays. It's down to one single lane, center lane, that's blocked. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Geronimo, an injury accident. Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Montwood, police on the scene of another crash. And a crash on El Paso Street at Missouri Avenue. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? Need Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates in one place. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
New on Curiosity Stream, the Arctic, frigid, desolate, unforgiving. And without canine companions, early humans never stood a chance. Discover how man and dog learned to thrive together where neither could survive alone in Ice Dogs. Plus,
why would a Nazi major be protecting and saving Jews?
Against orders, against time. The SS major that sheltered and saved thousands of Jews. It's the good Nazi. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
True crime podcast Betrayal. A woman chronicles her fairy tale romance gone horribly wrong. Her husband's secret life destroyed their marriage, shook their community, and ultimately sent him to prison.
Going through Spence's emails, Snapchat, whatever I could get my hands on. Just a punch in the gut every single time.
Listen to Betrayal on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you work remote, Staples has you covered.
A storage cabinet that I can roll out of the way on weekends?
Staples has you covered with stylish and functional home office furniture and decor curated by Staples Work From Home Style Squad. And now, enter the Staples Find Your Work From Home Style Sweepstakes to win a home office makeover. Explore solutions for your workspace at Staples. See staplesconnect.com/findyourWFH style for rules and details. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Open to legal residents of the 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 and older. N67.
Traffic's bad enough without Mother Nature adding to your headache. Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. We've covered a lot of ground here today. We're rounding the bend on the last bit of the last segment here. But, of course, we do have those other ways you can leave us comment on the show here. Those pound 250 calls, as we've been talking about, as well as a lot of commentary coming in on some of these issues here. But also, again, the pound 250 or the talkback system here. If you want to leave us a message, you can certainly do that even when we're off air on those methods. So, please, we're coming up to the end of the show here. That's one of the ways you can do it. And again, pound 250, keyword Talk El Paso when asked. You can leave us a message much like this.
This is Messiah Frankie on a beautiful Sunday in downtown Messiah. Now, I want to ask, what kind of mush is this? I heard President Biden go out and say that all Americans across the country, hearts are breaking because of this terrible circumstance in Buffalo, New York. Give me a break. There is not every single human being in the United States of America that is heart is breaking. There's probably 1,000, 10, 100,000. These people don't care. They're loving it every single which way this Sunday that this kid shot all those people. Give it up already. And
that whole circumstance in Buffalo, I probably went too far in looking for it myself because, unfortunately, that circumstance was actually live streamed on social media there briefly and managed to find it myself. No, I will not be sharing any links for it because, frankly, A, what I found was already down, and B, some of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life, having reported on many things, never been to a war zone, but one of the closest things I've ever seen. And all I have to say on that is this, that my heart breaks for that community, my family. I have family up in that region nearby there. And I don't find it controversial at all to say that hate of any stripe, of any size, shape, color, creed, whatever it comes down to, is wrong and is evil and should be opposed in every way possible. So, yes, my heart breaks, and I know that there were statements out from the city of El Paso, among others, towards those victims there. Truly senseless violence. There's no other way to put it there. And if someone was truly trying to get something out of it here, there is no place for that in our world, in our society, in this modern way we try to live here. So I can have nothing but condemnation for that situation and anything, regardless of its motivation, that would resemble it. We're going to have to end the show there for today because we are out of time here for this program. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. I do thank everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. Seriously, the way we talk about issues, find to be very important because getting people involved and engaged, they have to know what it is to be involved and engaged about. So I hope that you all continue to join us here every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when on the road, and have a great evening, all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Got some good news in your El Paso traffic. Finally, the border highway eastbound before Midway is cleared. All lanes are back open from that earlier 3-vehicle crash. 20-minute delays back to Fonseca. Gateway Boulevard eastbound at Geronimo, an injury accident. Memorial Highway 375 southbound at Pelicano, a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. And a crash downtown Santa Fe Street at West Wyoming. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Join Brian Birds of the Brian Birds Home Selling Team every Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. for real estate tips with Brian. The best in El Paso when it comes to selling. Brian is an expert in real estate. Listen every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on KTSM AM 690 for tips on buying or selling your home, info on what's going on in the market today, and much, much more. Real estate tips with Brian every Sunday morning at 7:30 on KTSM AM 690.
If you're 45 or older, this message could save your life. Health experts now recommend starting regular colorectal cancer screening at age 45. Colorectal cancer is the leading cause of cancer death, but it's preventable through regular screening. There are more screening options than ever before, including at-home tests. You've got the guts to prevent colorectal cancer. Talk to your doctor about your options and visit cdc.gov/screen4life for more information.
Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Officials in Buffalo say there have been several arrests over social media threats following Saturday's mass shooting. Buffalo's police commissioner would not go into detail about the nature of the new threats. Authorities say a self-avowed white supremacist opened fire at a supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood, killing 10 people. Orange County officials say the deadly shooting Sunday at a Taiwanese Presbyterian church luncheon was a politically motivated hate incident.
Sheriff Don Barnes says investigators have found evidence that the gunman who killed one person and wounded 5 others was upset about political tensions between China and Taiwan.
We know that the subject involved is a U.S. citizen who immigrated from China. He has lived in the United States for many years, including other states.
The sheriff says the accused shooter is 68-year-old David Cho of Las Vegas. The man who died was 52-year-old Dr. John Chang, who Sheriff Barnes calls a hero for charging and tackling the gunman, which gave time for others to also tackle him and tie his legs with extension cords. I'm Cliff Albert.
A study from the United Kingdom could provide answers on a hepatitis outbreak that has sickened many kids around the world. A top World Health Organization official who focuses on the liver disease says the study will look at the relation between that and adenovirus. A federal judge is expected to rule this week on whether the Title 42 border restrictions will remain in place. And experts say the decision will have a huge impact on the nation's immigration court system. Former immigration judge Mark Metcalf says there's already a massive backlog.
We expect what's called the usual summer surge at the border. Without border security, without Title 42, we're beat.
Starbucks is vowing to help employees seeking abortion and gender-affirming care. You're listening.